What's up, you guys? My name's Mike, and today I'm going to introduce you to my truck camper. The truck's name is Max. He's a 2006 Toyota Tundra V8 4x4 with about 120,000 miles on it. It's got a 6-foot bed, and the camper, aka the Maxi Pad, was built in 2020 in a friend's wood shop with materials that you'll find in pretty much any hardware store and standard tools that you'd find in any wood shop. I myself am not a carpenter or even a very experienced builder. So I'm here to tell you, if you're on the fence about building your truck camper or you're interested in doing it but don't know where to start, it's totally doable. We're going to do a whole series on Max. I'm going to do a step-by-step guide on how to build a truck camper. But today we're just going to take a quick tour. I'm going to show you around so you can see if it's something that you might want to consider building yourself or using for inspiration. And if you're new to building, my suggestion is to keep your design simple and keep it dimensional and square. Don't try and overdo it, but do put a lot of energy into the design. For me, it was like 70% of the work was in designing the frame and the materials and figuring out exactly what I wanted before we even made a cut. Let's dive in and I'll show you around. So Max is actually my second build. He's a younger brother to a van, a 40 Econoline named Elmer, rest in peace. Elmer blew a head gasket in 2019, and when he did, I decided to switch over from the van life to the truck camper life for a few different reasons. I'm going to do a video comparing van life and truck camper life just to give you guys a little more beta on that. But basically, I wanted the four-wheel drive capability. I wasn't living out of it full time, so I didn't need all the functionality of a conversion van. But I did want a space that, kept me inclined to keep going on adventures and felt like home and was spacious enough to be comfortable. I looked at a ton of camper tops, the fiberglass prefab tops, and they were all super expensive. And none of them had the space that I wanted anyway. I decided to build my own and was able to build this for under $1,000. I used some recycled materials and had some materials in my buddy's shop that we put to use, but most of it was bought new. And I'll break down a pricing guide in a different video, but for now let's dive into the materials. So my main objective with building this camper was to build something that looked decent and aesthetically pleasing. So I put a lot of thought into the exterior. I wanted to keep the wood grain finish, which I really like, and I get a ton of compliments on this thing, and pretty much every one of them includes a comment on the porthole windows. Old guys love them. Nice portholes! I like that addition. They were really hard to find, but I think that they give it a lot of flair and make it look a little bit less boxy and more stylistic. So the materials on the outside, this plywood is 5/8 marine grade ply. I don't recommend just going to Home Depot and getting plywood off the shelf there. If you're going to invest in any piece of material, the exterior plywood is definitely the material I'd suggest investing in. The back doors are built out of standard plywood, but the roof and the sides, because they are kind of irreplaceable, are built out of more expensive marine grade ply. But 5/8 was all I needed to have it be strong enough to stand on top of. So this is what you might consider like a mini cab over. You can see where the camper extends over the cab in front, so it's obviously not to sleep up there. A lot of cab overs, that's the space where you sleep. But in this, I just wanted to be able to fit my 8-foot longboard in the truck, and I have roof racks on the side so you can slide the board in, and the nose goes up in the front of the camper and it can fit an 8-foot longboard. So that's been super key for me. I use that area up top for storage. But otherwise, the bed is a little over 6 feet long, which is perfect for me to sleep. I'm 5'9". So that's all stuff to keep in mind when you're doing the build. I wanted the double doors on the back. Obviously I removed the tailgate so that you can open it up and like really have kind of like an open living situation. If you pull up to a nice campsite and it's a nice day, you can just spread those doors open and it's like inside outside living. This side I put just a standard bathroom window from, you know, a house window, which I found on Craigslist for I think like 40 bucks. It was extra from another job. And around the edges, this was I added this after the fact, but this flashing, I think it's 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch flashing, I put around all the edges with a drip edge along the top, just to keep it a little more protected in the rain. And there's caulking underneath all of this, which you have to caulk the shit out of it, otherwise water will seep in under there and defeat the purpose. But I also think it gives it a good look having that flashing around the outside, and the drip edge around the top keeps water from beating up and streaming down the side. In the design process, I initially had a sloped, this area was sloped, slanted, which I thought would be necessary for wind resistance and make it more aerodynamic, so it's better on gas mileage, but that ended up being more work than it was worth to design it that way. I highly recommend keeping your build square, because if you once you start making bends and curves and angles other than 90-degree angles, it gets a lot more complicated. And this way, with it square, you have headspace across the whole interior. It keeps it really open and spacious, and it's just a lot easier to build. So you can see there's 4 windows, 3 portholes, and the bathroom window on the side. And I wanted one area that could be open and you could pass things through here. I call it the bar window. Sometimes we serve drinks out of here. So this opens, it's locked on the inside, but I'll open it up. This door was initially made out of plywood, just like the rest of it. But over time, water seeped in around the edges and delaminated the plywood, and it was falling apart. So I replaced it with this, which is teak, and I think that was a really good move. Teak is pretty much indestructible. It's expensive, but it's worth it. That door will never deteriorate. These portholes I got off of Etsy, and they are not real boat portholes, I don't believe, and they aren't even the material they said they were. I think they said they were brass, but you can see they're kind of starting to weather. I added this extra weather stripping in here just to make sure that they didn't seep water, and they've been working really good. The whole thing has been entirely waterproof for 2 years, so I haven't had one leak, which has been awesome. I'm really stoked on that, and I credit that to having very straight cuts and using glue with every bind, every seam, every hole, every screw hole has glue in it too, so that keeps the water out. You can see that all these screw holes they were countersunk, and you put the screw in, and then we covered them up with wooden plugs, or they're actually called bungs. And I think that does a lot for the aesthetic of it. You don't have screw heads showing up everywhere, and just makes it look a lot cleaner and more refined. That's the exterior. Oh, let's talk about the top. The roof, I initially, trying to keep that wood grain aesthetic, I initially sealed the roof with fiberglass resin, like a surfboard resin, and over time it delaminated. I should have known, because water and moisture gets underneath it and then it delaminates. So I sanded all that down last year, and I refinished it with Flex Seal, which is that stuff you see in the infomercials, and it's actually as good as they claim it to be. It is peeling a little bit, so I'll have to probably re-coat it again before winter, but it's done a great job so far. Kept the weather out, and I actually don't mind having the roof be black after all. It doesn't really make a difference, you don't see it. The exterior walls are finished with sparvarthane. It's a polyurethane exterior varnish, I guess, clear. I think they're clear satin. And I coated the hell out of it. I put probably 7 coats of that around the outside, and it's done a pretty good job of keeping it weatherized. You can see it's still bright and it still looks good. There are a couple areas where it seems to be weathering a bit, so I'll probably sand it all down before winter and recoat the whole thing. But it's been enough to keep it waterproof so far. And then this whole setup is actually rests on the walls of the bed. A lot of people build their slide-in campers that are freestanding. You can slide them in and out. Mine isn't built that way. The camper sits on the walls of the bed, and because it's permanent for me, I actually just bolted it through to the bed walls. But you can get little clamps that they sell to clamp your camper to your bed. And those work just as well. I just bolted it so I didn't have to worry about it, set it and forget it. This up here, you can see there's like little dings all over here. That's because I had my surfboard on the roof in a board bag, and the string of the board bag was flapping around, and the little like thing on the end of it was hitting the wall, and that's why it got all nicked up, which really sucks. But I don't mind, it's a little character. The thing's not perfect anyway, and it still gets the job done. One last thing before we start talking about the inside, I needed a roof rack, and I wanted to do it for cheap. So I ended up going with this steel piping with these base fixtures, and screwed those into the frame of the camper, not just through the plywood. They're actually bolted to the interior frame. And they hold my roof box and boards, and I can put anything up here. I've never had a problem. I bolted them down, and then I actually glassed them in with that fiberglass resin, so they're pretty much permanent. I was a bit concerned that they might not hold for a lot of weight, but they actually do a pretty good job. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the exterior tour of Max, my home-built truck camper, which I made with these 2 hands out of wood in a friend's wood shop for under $1,000. We're also releasing an interior tour in conjunction with this video. I'll link it in the comments to see if you want to use it for layout inspiration in your build. These tours are part of a series that we're doing on truck camper and van conversion, and I'm actually going to kick it off with a step-by-step guide to how to build this exact truck camper, from the design phase to the finishing touches, what you need, how to go about it, and things to look out for. This content is all part of our overall mission here at Dirtbag Dopamine. This is a brand new channel dedicated to maximizing our time on this earth, living an awesome lifestyle outdoors, how to live large on a budget, and the pursuit of happiness in general. So if you're into content like that, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, comment if you've got a thought, ring the bell, whatever you gotta do. Please support this channel because we need your help. And thank you for hanging out with Dirtbag Dopamine, where wealth is measured in happiness, and we're just another squirrel trying to get a nut. Peace!